My company's called Snooze Tots, and I'm here for the next half an hour to answer all your baby sleep questions that you might have. So fire away with them, and we'll try and get through as many as I can. So I hope everyone's doing all right. So a little bit about me is I work with parents usually one-on-one to kind of solve their baby sleep issues. So they could be a toddler, they could be anything from 4 months plus, and we kind of try and identify the issues and see what's happening, and then I work with them usually for 2 weeks to help them resolve their sleep issues. And then I also do some workshops as well. So I work with Let's Talk Birth and Baby, and I do a newborn workshop. That's not about sleep training. It's kind of like laying a really good foundation to understanding your baby's sleep needs. And then I also do the 4 to 18 month workshop as well. So lots and lots of help out there. So let's start with some questions. Is it okay for my 5-week-old to nap for 5 to 50 minutes throughout the day and only have 1 or 2 longer spurts of 2 to 3 hours at night? I feel like he's only ever asleep feeding or crying, and worry he isn't getting sufficient sleep in such short bursts. So 5 weeks old, very, very young, very little, everything's kind of developing still. Completely normal that their sleep's going to be a bit erratic. Don't expect a sort of time schedule. You've kind of got to do what works for you. So if you want to try and put them down in their cot crib and let them fall asleep there, or if you want to do contact naps, very normal as well at that age. It's really up to you what you prefer to do. At 5 weeks old, I mean, in terms of total sleep of the day, you're looking at roughly around 5 to 6 hours in the daytime, and trying to get them to fall asleep at the right time, usually so that they're not overtired, around the 45 minutes to an hour mark, every 45 minutes to an hour, will probably help with if they're only doing 5-minute naps. I would try to just see if they're getting the sleep at the right time. So I would work to that. Aim for it depends on your kind of day, but aim for often they go to bed a little bit later at 5 weeks, so around the 9 o'clock mark. But yeah, it will get better, and you'll start seeing as their sleep, as they develop, you'll start seeing their sleep improve. But 2 to 3 hours at night, it can be normal. It will get better. But I would try just working to kind of wait times of just trying to get them to go to sleep however you want to get them to sleep. 45 minutes to an hour, every 45 minutes to an hour. Question: how do I try and drop the 3 to 4 a.m. feed with my 5-month? I'm sure it's not hunger, as he wakes babbling to himself but won't self-settle back off. Okay, so I need to know a little bit more information. Does this 5-month-old baby know how to put themselves to sleep for all sleep? And is it just this is the wake up where they just don't seem to be able to do it? If that's the case, then it's sometimes a scheduling issue going on. So are they having too much sleep in the day? So when it gets to those early hours, around 3 to 4, they're waking up babbling. It sounds like they're quite happy. So if they are just babbling to themselves, leave them to it for as long as they're kind of happy. And then in terms of their schedule as well, in terms of their daily routine, just making sure they're getting the right amount of sleep and they're not having too much sleep. So around the 3.5 hour mark in the day, to make sure that they're not having too much sleep so that they're waking up at 4 a.m. kind of happy and ready to go for the day. So just make sure they're having the right amount of sleep. Also making sure those wake times are right for their age and for them. So around the 2-hour 15 mark is the wake time for the day between sleep. So kind of making sure that schedule's right and how you respond. So if they are just happy, as I said, just babbling, just leave them to it as much as you can. If obviously they get a bit upset, then go in, and if you don't think it's hunger, because you know they can do longer stretches, every 5-month-old, some still need a feed, some don't, then try and use a settling method of trying to settle them and encourage them to fall asleep back to sleep without the feed if you believe that it's not genuine hunger. If you do want to kind of reduce the feed though, you can do that. So you could just reduce the amount of, if whether you're breastfeeding, I don't know if you're breastfeeding or if you're doing a formula feed, just reduce, if it's breastfeeding, just reduce the amount of minutes on the feed. And if he's having formula, then just reduce the number of ounces every few days till you get to like barely minimum amount, so there's no need to offer any more. Question here. My little boy is just coming up to 8 months. He's always quite a good sleeper, but he's been teething for some time now. No teeth out yet, but 3 are visible. For the past week, he's been a nightmare to put to bed. It's literally a battle. He will scream, and the only way to get him to sleep is let him scream a bit, give him milk, and he will either fall asleep or I need to let him scream for a few more minutes. And we repeat the routine till he's finally asleep. But for the past couple of days, he started gagging himself and vomiting. I'm very aware it's for attention. I'm staying strong and not letting him sleep on my bed. But I do put him to sleep on the bed, then transfer him to the cot straight away. He's breastfed. My question is, how can I help him fall asleep better again? Okay, so teething, it can really affect some babies more than others. They can get really irritated by it, but it really shouldn't go on for more than a week. It should be a couple of days before the tooth comes through, then when the tooth comes through, and then a few days after until it's fully through. So just be mindful of that and hopeful that it ends soon. But what you can do is, if he's upset, then what I would do is offer him support. So stay with him, offer him the support when he's upset. So that whether that's just kind of encouraging, rubbing his whatever he likes, it depends on the child. So that could be just like rubbing their chest or stroking their head, just reassuring them. And anytime he stops crying, just sit back and wait and just sit there. Just minimal interaction, just sit back. And if he starts crying again, offer him the support until he falls asleep. That's probably the best approach that you could use with him. I wouldn't just, if he's gagging and vomiting, I wouldn't just leave him cry. It's up to you, but I probably wouldn't suggest just leaving him cry. It will pass. It sounds like if it's a phase, and or if it's his teeth, then it will pass. But I would just offer him some extra reassurance. But if you can try and not assist him to sleep, but by being there and offering him encouragement and reassurance, that should help as well. Nine-month-old. She's currently sleeping 1 hour naps during the day, but wakes time, Gemma. So 9 months old, roughly, that you're looking at around 3 hours maximum day sleep. So she's having 1.5 hour naps. So she's really at the kind of like, that's probably about right, but it depends what time she's having them. So in terms of wake time, I would say around 3 hour wake times between sleep is what you're aiming for. What time's her bedtime between? How long are you going from the last nap of the day till bedtime? Is it too long a stretch as well? So it could be that she's having too long a stretch, she's overtired before bed, hence why she's waking at 4 a.m. There's no kind of set routine. You need to kind of find out what works for your little one depending on their kind of wake times, but around the 3.5 hours is usually what they can stay awake for between sleep. Okay, next question. My daughter is now 1 month old and I'm wanting to put her in the sleeping bag at night. I can't decide on what she should be wearing underneath. We have a grow egg in the room, so temperature is always between 16 to 20, which is the recommended. However, usually stays around 18 to 19 mark. It never goes over 20. Should she just wear a long sleeve vest, or will her legs be cold? I feel like most people that I know who have used sleeping bags with their children put them in a short sleeve vest, then baby grow over the top. Just wanted advice. So your room is roughly around the 18 to 19 mark. I would say put them in it depends on the child. So have a kind of feel the temperature of their neck or their chest. Just check they're not too hot or cold when you're doing this. But I would say around that temperature, kind of a baby grow and a 2.5 tog is perfect. If you try that and you think she's actually quite cold, if you feel the temperature of her, then you can put a vest on, but actually just a baby grow and vest is probably enough. When you say her legs will be cold, she'll be in the sleeping bag, so they shouldn't be too cold. Yeah, that's what I would recommend. Kirsty, I have a 7-month-old that won't sleep longer than 3 hour stretches at night, still having 2 bottles from after bed until morning. So, a few things that you kind of need to tick off is environment. Is the room nice and dark? Does she know how to fall asleep herself? Is it he, she? I'm not sure. Does your baby know how to fall asleep themselves? Because that will really help at 7 months old. So trying to teach them to settle themselves. Start working on that. That would be just practicing falling asleep themselves using sort of approach you're comfortable with. That should help with the kind of like the longer stretches, because they'll start learn. He or she will start learning to connect sleep cycles, so that they don't expect when they come out to a light sleep phase that they expect you to kind of assist them back to sleep. And the 2 bottles from after bed until morning. If there's not sort of a weight issue and your doctor's not concerned, you could start kind of, once you start working on them falling asleep independently, you can kind of start reducing them, and you will often find they will just naturally go, because she'll start learning to put himself to sleep without the need for a bottle. But obviously it all has to come together. 7 months old, just also make sure that they're getting the right amount of sleep in the day, so roughly around the 3 hours to 3.5 hours maximum in the day, between 2 to 3 naps depending on length of nap. So really work on falling asleep for naps as well. So work on falling asleep themselves for naps as well as nighttime sleep at the same time. I often say do it together. And in terms of wake times, work to around 2 hours 45 wait time between sleep. That morning one, I'd say, is slightly shorter as well, that wait time, but for the rest of the day, around 2 hours 45. So watch her sleep cues, get your baby down to bed at the right time, when they're displaying those sleep cues like the yawning and eye rubbing. When they get to the tired crying stage, you've kind of missed that window where they're going to settle really nicely. So get them down at the right time. Practice a settling approach that you want to use to teach her or him to fall asleep themselves. And then it will all just kind of come together like that. I have a 10-month-old that really struggles with split sleep. He naps well during the day. Sorry, I'm having a drink of my coffee. He have a 10-month-old that really struggling with split sleep. He naps well during the day and will have 2 naps around 2 to 4 hours long combined. I've tried adjusting nap times in the morning, afternoon, later bedtimes, earlier bedtimes, bottle, no bottle. I just did the West to try and I'm exhausted. He's teething, learning to crawl and pull himself up, so I know this may be impacting. But in the last 3 months, he's only had 4 nights in a row where he slept and settled after a quick cuddle. He's not upset when he wakes. He's happy. So a split night, often to do with the schedule, which sounds like to me, if he's having around 2 to 4 hours, if he's having some days where he's having 4 hours sleep in the day, it's too much. For 10-month-old, you're looking at roughly around 2.5, very max, like 3 hours sleep in the day they often need. So going to 4 hours, he's probably maxed out, so he's not going to probably sleep very well. And also it depends what time these naps are as well. So just making sure that there's a 3.5 hour at least window between the last nap of the day and bedtime as well is really key. So yeah, first I'd say work on reducing the day sleep. If he's having some days where he's having 4 hours, even if he has a bad night's sleep, you kind of got to just push through, because if you start giving him more sleep in the day to catch up with the bad night's sleep, you're just going to get into a continuous kind of cycle of it. So give him 2 good naps. You could split that how you want. You might want to do an hour in the morning and then 2 hours in the afternoon, or you might do an hour and a half in the morning and an hour and a half in the afternoon. Every little one likes different things. So that is something I would look at, is a schedule. He's teething, learning to crawl and pull himself up. These developmental things can affect their sleep, but I would say that first of all, make sure he's falling asleep himself and you're not assisting. Give him a comforter. It's a really nice age if he doesn't have one. Comfort himself using a comforter. and making sure that schedule is right as well. My baby is 4 months old now. He goes down to sleep at around 6:37 and will sleep the whole night, but we've been giving him a feed at 10 when we go to bed. When should I stop doing this? That's up to you. That really is up to you. So you're doing a dream feed. It works for some parents, it doesn't work for others. And what I would say is what you could do if he's sleeping all night and it's working for you, then I wouldn't change anything. What you could start doing though is just kind of reducing the feed. So just reducing that amount and seeing if it affects his sleep, and also but check that it's okay to do that if there's any sort of like weight issues and your doctor's saying actually you should really still give that feed. So just clear it with like your doctor based on weight. And then if you want to try and just start reducing the kind of the amount you're giving, and then you try and transfer that amount into the daytime as well. It might not actually affect us. He might actually still carry on going through till 6:37. So it might not actually be an issue. So yeah, it sounds like you're doing really well though if you're sleeping all night. Kirsty, thank you so much. I have a boy. Any tips on self-soothing? I'm open to any approach. I've tried putting down when he's tired, but he just cries until I'm picking back up. He's very advanced. Standing, walking. I can't give you step by step on these lives. It would be really, I need to go into detail, and it would be really irresponsible of me to go through exactly what you do, and it would take up the whole half hour if I went through all different settling approaches. That's why I never go into detail on them. You could kind of like Google like different settling approaches and find one that you like the look of. Or as I said, I think Laura just linked, I do workshops where I take you through different settling approaches based on different babies' personalities and you and what you'd be comfortable with, finding the right approach, finding the right routine. I can't, I don't have the time to kind of give you exactly what I would suggest you do step by step on methods on these sort of lives. Hope that's okay. My baby girl is 5 months old. Since last Wednesday, she's been so sleepy, screaming, crying. Nothing that usually settles her will work. She's just not her usual self at all. Um, she seems so sad and is more hungry than usual. Won't settle for anybody really, and will only sleep in the day with me, cuddling her, which she used to just settle off on her own, and I could get stuff done. I just wondered if you had any advice of what is wrong with her. Colic, growth spurt, teething. How long should this last? Because I don't know this little girl, I can't really give you kind of this is exactly what it is. It could be any of these things. Um, if she's like overtired, it could be that she's going through teething. It could be, as you say, colic. I would just get these kind of things checked off. So just check if you want to speak to someone about colic, if she's unsettled. Also, just make sure that she's not overtired, because that often does make them really cranky. Working on settling, if she doesn't know how to fall asleep herself, it might be actually that she's actually wanting to learn to do it, and that settling on you is no longer kind of working for her. So I need to know more detail to be able to answer that. Next question, Kieran. I have twins born premature and now they're 2 weeks old. Congratulations. Their sleep cycle is really short. As soon as I've put them in their cot, they wake up. They sleep really good in our arms. What can I do to make them sleep in their cot? So, as they're only 2 weeks old, corrected age, it's very, very normal that their sleep cycles are very short. As soon as you put them in the cot, they wake up. A little trick you can do is if you're putting them straight onto their back, they will often wake. If you're wanting to put them down in their cot asleep, then put them down on their side, but don't leave them on their side. They need to sleep on their back. And then just once they're kind of like, they're still asleep, just roll them really slowly and gradually onto their back, and they should stay asleep a bit better. But be assured that sleep cycles are, it's very short. Their sleep bursts when they're only a couple of weeks old. It will start getting more, it will get better and better. Do it on the go if you're wanting to. Do it in a sling. If there's two of you, obviously you've got twins. A pram. Whatever works for you, I'd say that 2 weeks old, just to get them to sleep. But I definitely try putting them on their side as you place them down in the cot and then rolling them onto their back. Just make sure that they are sleeping on their back for safety. How do I stop my toddler from holding my ponytail bun for comfort? Offer them something else. So have they got a comforter? That's what I would say. Try and introduce that instead of them using your ponytail. It's just that they're kind of using that as a sort of like touching sensation. So yeah, try and introduce a comforter. One thing I should say is they might, with the comforter, they might not take to it instantly, but then just keep offering it. So when they're asleep, just put it by the side of them and they'll start getting attached to that. Wear it down your top as well, just before you give it to them. That's also a really good thing. And if they fling it out, if they fling it away out their sleep space, don't go and start putting it back again, because you're just going to have a game. Especially when they're two, they know what they're doing. I have a 2-year-old. Just wait till they're asleep and then put it next to them. Any other questions, guys? A question that actually hasn't come up, which I thought would come up today, is with the whole clock changing, what should we do? So I will quickly talk you through what I suggest that you do. So you've got a couple of options. Well, if there's any other questions, I'll obviously answer them. But while I'm here, a couple of options with clock changing. So it's happening on Sunday. So they kind of, not this Sunday, is it? What day is it? What day are we on? No, not this Sunday, the following Sunday. You've kind of got a couple of options. You could just go with it and just let them just adjust. Or what you can do, if you've kind of got more of a sensitive sleeper, what I call is splitting the difference. So splitting the difference, so what you would do is the day, so happens on the day it happens, the clock change. I often just change the clocks the night before so that when you wake up in the morning, it's the noon times. Move their schedule 30 minutes later for the first few days. So let's say they have usually a 9 o'clock nap, then do it at 9:30. And then let's say they have a 7 o'clock bed, do it at 7:30. And then do that for a few days, get them used to it. So you're only adjusting them by half an hour instead of a whole hour. Then on the 4th day, move to the correct time on the clock that the nap would normally be. So then they're you've kind of, that's why it's called splitting the difference. You've kind of done it halfway, you've met halfway, so it's not a full whack, it's not a huge adjustment to their body. So they should be able to handle half an hour change. But that's the best way to do it. Move it 30 minutes later for the first few days and then go back to their normal schedule on the 4th day. Hopefully that's helpful for some of you. I'm doing a post about it on my Instagram, snooze_tots, in the next couple of days. So you can kind of follow that if you want. Any other questions? Have we got any more? No? Well, is 7 p.m. a good bedtime for my 7-month-old? Yeah, 7 p.m. is a really good bedtime. You often, as long as they've had good sleep in the day, if they've had a bit of a rubbish day of naps, which can happen, then just move their bedtime closer to 6:30, 6:45. Just kind of go by them, how tired they seem. And also, if you're looking at 7-month-old, make sure that there's that 2 hour 45 at least wake time between the last nap of the day. So yeah, just making sure that there's that wait time, that right amount of wait time between the last nap of the day and bedtime. Yeah. Okay, so we'll see you the same time, same place in a fortnight. Yes, Laura, I will see you guys. Honestly, just come back on and ask any more questions in the fortnight. If you have any more, I'll be here to answer as many as you want. All right, have a lovely day, everyone.